The dinner rush had barely begun, yet the restaurant already felt like a tiny universe spinning out of control. Mina, a 23-year-old waitress with tired eyes and a determined heart, moved between tables with the grace of someone who had learned to hide exhaustion behind polite smiles. The soft glow from chandeliers reflected on polished marble floors, and the warm smell of truffle pasta and grilled salmon lingered in the air. For most employees, evenings at Mirza's fine dining felt like a battlefield of orders, trays, and tense perfection, but to Mina, it was her second home, her only source of income after her father's accident left her family struggling. Tonight, however, the air felt different. Heavy, sharp, like something was about to go wrong. At table 9, the source of that tension laughed loudly, drawing annoyed glances from nearby patrons. 4 wealthy businessmen, dressed in tailored suits and wearing watches worth more than a year's rent, were drinking expensive wine like it was tap water. Their loud voices clashed with the elegant ambiance. Mina had served rude customers before. She'd served impatient ones, careless ones, snobbish ones, and even drunk ones who could barely stand. But these men, they were different. They treated the restaurant like their private property, and everyone else like background extras in their personal movie. Still, Mina breathed deeply, fixed her smile, and approached them with their bill. "Good evening, gentlemen," she said politely. "Here is your check." The tallest man, who had been barking orders since he arrived, glanced at the bill and pushed it back toward her with 2 fingers, just enough force to make it slide across the table. "We're not paying," he said with casual arrogance, as if announcing the weather. Mina blinked. "Sorry, sir, there must be a misunderstanding." The man with diamond cufflinks, who had flirted with every female worker in the restaurant, leaned back in his chair. "No misunderstanding," he said lazily. "We don't pay at every place we visit. Consider this, free publicity." The table broke into mocking laughter. Mina's throat tightened. Her shifts were long, her tips unpredictable, and the restaurant had strict rules. Unpaid bills were often deducted from staff wages until resolved. She couldn't afford to lose a single rupee. Not when her younger brother needed medication every month. "Gentlemen, I'm sure you can pay," she said, voice soft but firm. "Everyone here follows the same policy." The third man snorted. "Policy? Do you have any clue who we are? We're not regular customers." He smirked. "And you're certainly not in a position to lecture us." The fourth man, short but loud, leaned forward. "Actually, I'll tell you what you should do. Smile, say thank you, and walk away." More laughter. Cruel, mocking, the kind of laughter that made a person feel small. Mina stood frozen for a moment. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the bill. She tried again. "Please, if you leave without paying, it affects me." "Oh please," the leader interrupted, rolling his eyes. "Don't start with emotional drama. You want us to pay you. How about you earn it in another way?" He winked suggestively. Her cheeks flushed with shame. People from nearby tables glanced over briefly, but no one intervened. As always, people preferred to stay out of trouble. Mina swallowed her anger. "Sir, this isn't right. Run along, sweetheart," one man said, waving his hand dismissively. She took a cautious step back, her heart pounding. She knew what she had to do, go to her manager. She didn't want to, but she had no choice. Inside the staff corridor, she found Manager Kareem, his face always anxious, his shirt always slightly rumpled. "Sir, table 9 is refusing to pay," Mina whispered. The color drained from Kareem's face. "Those men, oh no, Mina, please, not tonight. They're powerful. They've got political friends, business connections. But the bill, we can't risk offending them," Kareem whispered. "Just let them go." Mina stared at him in disbelief. "Sir, they insulted me. And they cannot walk out without paying." Kareem nervously wiped sweat from his temple. "This is life," he said apologetically. "People like them do what they want." His words felt like a punch. "This is life. People like them do what they want. And people like her just had to accept it." She walked back toward the dining hall, each step heavier than the last. But something inside her refused to bend. She returned to table 9, refusing to let humiliation silence her. "Gentlemen," she said quietly but firmly, "you must pay the bill." Before leaving, the leader raised an eyebrow, amused. "You must be new. Do you even know who owns this place?" "No," she admitted honestly. "Exactly," he said, smirking. "So stop pretending you can make rules." "They're not my rules," Mina said. "They're the restaurant's." The man scoffed. "Same thing. You're beneath us. Don't talk to us as if we owe you anything." Mina clenched her jaw. The men stood up, adjusting their jackets, still laughing at their own arrogance. "Let's go," one said. "This waitress clearly doesn't understand class." They took a step forward. And then, the restaurant suddenly quieted. Glasses stopped clinking. Conversations dwindled, because someone had appeared behind the four men, standing silently with his hands clasped behind him. The four men noticeably stiffened, their laughter choking mid-breath. A deep, calm voice broke the silence. "Is there a reason," he asked softly, "why you are refusing to pay your bill?" The men froze. Slowly, they turned around, and their faces drained of color. Standing behind them was none other than Ahil Mirza, the billionaire owner of the entire restaurant chain. A man whose presence alone could silence a room, known for his cold precision, sharp mind, and zero tolerance for disrespect. And at that moment, his gaze was fixed on them. The four men tried to collect themselves, but their voices came out broken, nervous. "Ahil, we didn't know you were here." His eyes narrowed, clearly. Mina, still clutching the bill, stared in shock. She had never seen him in person before. But tonight, fate had brought him here. And the four men who thought they owned the world were suddenly very, very small. Silence settled over the entire restaurant like a heavy curtain. Every table, every waiter, every chef peeking from the kitchen doorway, everyone had frozen. Breath held, eyes widened, the atmosphere felt electrified, charged with tension. Because Ahil Mirza, billionaire mogul and owner of the entire Mirza hospitality empire, had stepped into the scene like a shadow of authority. He was known for many things: his sharp intellect, his ruthless business tactics, his loyalty to the people who worked for him, but most of all, for the quiet intimidation that surrounded him like a second skin. Tonight, dressed in a charcoal suit that looked like it had been tailored directly onto him, he seemed even more imposing. The four rich men, moments ago dripping arrogance, now resembled schoolboys caught cheating on an exam. Ahil, the tallest one, stammered, forcing a shaky smile. "We were just about to sort out the bill." "Is that so?" Ahil asked calmly. His voice was soft, but it hit harder than a shout. "Because from where I stood, it looked very different." His gaze flicked briefly to Mina, who still held the bill in her trembling hand. She felt exposed, like the weight of the world had suddenly spotlighted her. The humiliation she had endured moments ago still clung to her skin, but now, she felt something else too. Relief. Justice. A witness to the truth. The second man tried to laugh it off. "You know how it is, Ahil. We were just joking with the staff. No harm meant." Ahil took a slow step closer. "Joking," he repeated. His expression remained unreadable, as only a joke when everyone involved is laughing. The businessmen looked away, unable to meet his eyes. Ahil turned fully to Mina. "What exactly happened?" The room held its breath. Mina hesitated. She didn't want to seem like she was complaining. She didn't want to anger powerful people. She didn't even want to cause trouble. But Ahil's eyes held no impatience. No judgment, only a clear invitation to speak truth. "They refused to pay the bill," she said quietly. "They insulted me. They said the rules don't apply to them." "And did they apologize?" he asked. "No," she whispered. Ahil nodded slightly, as if confirming something he already knew. Then he faced the four men again. "You come into my establishment," he said slowly, "you insult a member of my staff, you embarrass this business, and you refuse to pay for the service you received." The tallest man opened his mouth. "We didn't mean." "Silence," Ahil said, still calm but with a razor edge that sliced through the air. They fell silent instantly. "You think your money gives you power here?" he asked. "It does not. Your money buys a meal. Respect is what keeps the doors open. And you failed to show any." He took another step closer to them, and for the first time in their privileged lives, they actually flinched. "Here's what will happen," Ahil said. "You will pay your bill. With a penalty." "A penalty?" The diamond cufflinked man stuttered. 300%, Ahil said coldly. "For harassment, disruption, and humiliation of my staff." The men stared in disbelief. "That's outrageous," one of them protested. Ahil raised an eyebrow. "And yet not as outrageous as your behavior tonight. Pay, now." Security guards, two large men built like professional wrestlers, stepped closer, making the businessmen pale even more. Grinding their teeth, shoving aside pride, and swallowing humiliation, the men pulled out their platinum cards. One by one, they paid the bill, plus the hefty penalty. The manager printed the receipt with hands that trembled from shock. As they signed, customers watched silently, some with satisfaction, others with awe. A few even recorded discreetly with their phones. When the transaction was complete, Ahil stepped aside. "You will leave," he said. "And you will not return. Ever." "But Ahil, come on," the tallest man tried again. "We're old friends." "You were acquaintances," Ahil corrected sharply. "And now you are nothing." The finality in his voice shut down any further argument. Humiliated beyond repair, the four men hurried out of the restaurant, heads lowered, shoulders tight, arrogance shattered. The massive glass doors closed behind them with a soft but powerful click that felt like justice itself. The room remained silent for a heartbeat. Then, soft applause began, slowly, cautiously, but like a growing wave, it spread across the entire restaurant. Customers clapped, staff clapped, even the head chef peeked out to join. Mina stared, unable to believe what she was witnessing. She felt her eyes sting with tears, real, grateful tears that blurred the chandeliers into glowing stars. Ahil raised a hand slightly, and the applause quieted. He turned to Mina again. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. She nodded, wiping a tear quickly. "Yes, sir. Thank you. You handled yourself with dignity," he said. "You didn't shout. You didn't retaliate. That shows strength." Mina looked down, embarrassed but touched. "I was just doing my job." "No," he said, shaking his head. "You were standing up for what was right. Many people wouldn't." He glanced toward the staff corridor. "Come with me." Confused, she followed him and the manager into his private office, a spacious room with minimalistic decor, a wall of glass overlooking the city, and shelves full of awards. Ahil gestured for her to sit. "Mina," he began, "how long have you worked here?" 7 months, she replied softly. "In your record?" he asked the manager. "Perfect," Kareem said quickly. "She's hardworking, punctual, polite, one of our best." Ahil nodded thoughtfully. "Good," he said, "because starting tomorrow, you are promoted to floor supervisor." Mina gasped. "Sir, what, me?" "Yes," Ahil said simply. "I need people who understand respect and fairness. You proved that today, but the promotion, it's too much." "Nothing is too much when it is earned," he said firmly. Her eyes filled again, but this time with disbelief and joy. "And one more thing." He slid a small card across the desk. "My personal number," he said. "If anyone at all, ever mistreats you again, even outside of work, call me." Mina stared at the card, her hands trembling. She had come to work expecting nothing but another exhausting shift. She had been insulted, humiliated, dismissed. And yet, because she chose to stand up for herself, because she chose what was right over what was easy, her entire life had just shifted. As she walked out of the office, holding the card close to her heart, the staff welcomed her with congratulatory smiles. And in the distance, Ahil watched quietly, his expression unreadable but clearly proud. Because in a world full of people who think power comes from money, he believed something different. True power belongs to those who stand for justice, especially when no one else does.